It's the question so many people have had since King crossed the border. Why would a U.S. soldier willingly enter the communist country led by a dictator known for abusing human rights? Tonight,
we followed this story very closely, and I'm concerned about where this is going. Let's get into it. Travis King is U.S. Army Private Second Class Travis King. He's a 23-year-old cavalry scout with the 1st Armored Division. Travis King joined the Army sometime in January of 2021. He graduated from Park High School in 2020. Currently, Travis King is being detained in North Korea. He is the detained soldier from Wisconsin who crossed the border without authorization. We've talked about this and seen some of those images. How all of this came about was a bit of a mystery for a lot of those that were reporting, including his family, who had reported that they felt like he might have had some mental health crisis because of a recent death in the family. I think it's important to point that out, right? Because we don't know to what extent what that was, what that looked like, what led this man to do what he did. He was escorted to his flight, from what we know, and he decided to leave the airport, get onto a tour bus, and in that tour bus, he decided to stand there. There's this last picture of him, which is very interesting. And then he bolts it over to North Korea.
King was supposed to be on a flight back to the U.S. last month after serving 47 days in a South Korean jail for an altercation. But instead of boarding the plane, officials say King left the airport and joined a tour of the DMZ, the heavily fortified demilitarized zone that separates North and South Korea. King, pictured here dressed in black, moments before, officials say he bolted across the border on purpose, right into the custody of the North Koreans, and was driven away in a van, his family in disbelief.
North Korea said on Wednesday that Private Travis T. King, the American soldier who fled across the inter-Korean border into its territory on July 18, wanted to seek refuge in the isolated communist country or a third country, according to state media reports. The report by the Korean Central News Agency is the first time the North has commented on Private King's case. During an investigation by North Korean officials, Private King confessed that he decided to come over to the DPRK as he harbored ill feelings against inhumane maltreatment and racial discrimination within the U.S. Army. The Korean Central News Agency said, using the abbreviation of the country's official name, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Private King admitted that he illegally intruded into the territory of the DPRK, saying that he did so because he was disillusioned at the unequal American society, the news agency said. The report did not provide any further details about his fate, including his health condition or whether North Korea planned to accept him as a refugee or send him along to a third country. North Korea said that its investigation was continuing, indicating that it had yet to decide on Private King's fate. The Pentagon has said that Private King crossed into North willfully and without authorization after he dashed across the inter-Korean border while he was on a group tour of the Joint Security Area, which lies in the middle of the Demilitarized Zone separating North and South. Pentagon spokesman said on Tuesday that the Defense Department could not verify the comments that North Korea said had been made by Private King. We remain focused on his safe return. The department's priority is to bring Private King home, and that we're working through all available channels to achieve that outcome. Until now, North Korea has kept very silent about Private King's case. In the past, North Korea had accepted American soldiers who had deserted and arrived in the country as political defectors, allowing them to live there, even start a family. But civilian Americans accused of illegal entry were held in detention and sometimes released and expelled or prosecuted and sentenced to hard labor. North Korea has used such American soldiers as propaganda tools against the United States. In the case of some civilian Americans accused of illegal entry, it has used them as bargaining chips in negotiation with Washington, which it has no formal diplomatic ties. Private King, 23, has been assigned to South Korea as a member of the 1st Brigade Combat Team, 1st Armored Division, after he was released in July from a South Korean detention center, where he had spent time on assault charges. He was escorted by the U.S. military personnel, taken to the airport outside of Seoul July 17 to board a plane bound to the United States, where he was expected to face additional disciplinary action. He never boarded the plane. Instead, he took the tour bus to the tourist site the next day. I want to also make highlight to the fact that the family has spoken now and said, there might have been death or trauma that he was dealing with, and that there have been issues of Travis King reporting racism within the military. Listen to this.
King's family says he was struggling prior to his disappearance. His uncle telling ABC News Travis said he was experiencing racism during his military deployment to South Korea, and that after he spent time in jail, the messages King sent to his family no longer sounded like him.
After we hear about this fight and him going to jail, the messages became strange. I was like, "You okay?" And then he's telling me, "No, they're trying to kill me." And then he just continued to send these songs and speaking to me, and he was saying things like, said they're racist. I don't know, it made me seem like something was going on with him, like he was fearing for his life.
And his mother says she received a disturbing phone call in the middle of the night, sometime prior to Travis King crossing the border.
Like 3-something in the morning, I got a call from him. And I was half asleep, and he just called and he just screamed, "I'm not the Army soldier you want me to be. I'm not the Army soldier you want me to be." And he kept screaming that out loud. And then all of a sudden the phone hung up, and then they were taking him to the hospital.
King's family now searching for answers and trying to do anything they can to get him back.
Let me know your thoughts in the comments about this whole situation. What do you guys think about the North Korean statement and their updates and reports? I'll see you guys on the next one. Rabbits out.